Hello everybody, welcome to Roadmap to Vitality Day 3. We're live. I got the orientation of my phone right today. I was told that going in landscape mode was going to be a better way to film this, and that is not correct, at least not on Instagram. So I apologize for yesterday. I'm working on the editing to get that video up so I'm in the right orientation for you. So I think we got it right today, right? And I was unable to actually see any comments because the thing was turned sideways. So if you were telling me you're sideways, I didn't get the message. So could have probably changed it midway through. But anyhow, welcome. I'm Vicki Laughlin, founder of Dynamic Wellness. I am in my 42nd year. Actually, I did listen to the replay because I've been working on the edits, and yesterday I said I'm a 41-year-old veteran in the health and fitness industry. Well, I'm not 41 years old, but I'm going into my 42nd year of being in the health and fitness industry. I've seen a lot of things come and go, including, ways that work to keep us well. And it doesn't mean that what I used to do wasn't beneficial back then, because it was. But when we deal with more environmental toxins, things, even though we are doing all the things necessary to benefit our health, or what we think is necessary, we still have the environmental toxins to deal with. And that takes a burden on our body, and that does reduce our vitality. So all of this week is talking about honoring basic foundation health principles that alone can help with vitality, but we also have to address the other things as well. And that's kind of the thing, that would be the step 2, is dealing with the environmental stuff and what it does to your body. And so in my 42 years of doing this, I've lived it, I've taught this healthy lifestyle, and I've rolled with the punches and evolved in what I've needed to know to best help my clients get on the road to health and vitality. So yesterday, we talked about symptoms for lack of vitality, and let's go over those again just real quick, in case anybody wasn't tuning in yesterday. But it's the inability to do our everyday chores without really feeling wiped out, unexplained body pain, having concentration issues, mental sluggishness, difficulty concentrating, loss of interest in the world and in the things you love to do, and then feeling sad, empty, or lost, and then sleep, which is our topic for today. Do you have trouble sleeping? And if you do, I can pretty much guarantee you're several notches down on this bio battery, which I talked about on day 1. Of course, a charged up battery here, a drained battery here, and yes, that wrong right there equals death, which I said on Monday, we're all going to get there, but it's how we get there. If we can have vitality in our life and live the best life possible, we have a chronological age that will never change. I'm 62. I was born in 1961. That's not going to change. But my biological age can. And as we talked about the different things that could drain bio battery drainers, there's always the opportunity to reverse that and recharge your battery, just like you can recharge your phone. So when I work with my clients in my base camp program, I teach how to apply all these foundations of health, and it's literally getting back to basics, kind of ancestral basics, long before we had all the modern conveniences in our life, which, by the way, are accelerating faster and faster. And as they do, EMFs being one thing, we need to be more concerned about the things we can do to that we have control over, that we can do to keep vitality in our body, in our life. And one of them is sleep. Sleep's huge. So everything though that I teach, some modern medicine might think that this is like, they might tell you that's a fad, this is new, but it's not new. This stuff has been around forever. Like I said, it's getting back to basics. And what I want to do is read a quote. Tony Robbins' latest book is called Life Force. And in that book, he, and this is where I was introduced to the quote, he's introducing, and he's working with anti-aging and, scientists, experts in this field of longevity. And many of the things in the book are medical intervention type hacks that I'm not 100% on board with. I would say do what I'm suggesting first, and then maybe you don't need those things. But there's a quote in the book, and it's by a German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. Every truth passes 3 stages before it is recognized. In the first, it is ridiculed. In the second, it is opposed. This quote even comes out as either violently or ferociously opposed. And in the third, it is regarded as self-evident. So what happens is, and what I'm talking about are things that are not new, actually old things. But they're believed to be new and believed to be sort of a trendy thing. Even though these things are not new, what's going to happen with these philosophies, it's already happening in functional medicine, the functional medicine arena, people who do what I do, health coaches like I do, including functional medicine doctors who sometimes turn functional medicine doctor from being a cardiologist because they were tired of writing prescriptions all day long and not getting to the root cause of why the person with this metabolic disorder keeps coming back to their office and needing a different prescription for something else. One doctor, one example of this very philosophy in a very short period of time that became acknowledged was Dr. Peter Osborne. He's Gluten Free Society. I follow him. His philosophies are closely aligned to mine, and I've learned a lot where nutrition is involved, and gluten exposure and its toll on the body. But back in the beginning of the pandemic, he was recommending vitamin D to help boost immune function and hopefully keep you from getting sick. And he was censored, ostracized, I think even fined for what he said. I could be wrong about that. But the medical community, within a very a year to 18 months, turned around and said, oh, we all need vitamin D. And of course, once it goes mainstream media, everybody listens. Even though there's research out there, a lot of this research doesn't get publicized. And that's a tragedy, because this information is what can honestly keep people out of the doctor's office. So today we're talking about sleep. So when about the age of 45, I was kind of suffering from adult acne and bloating, chronic muscle aches and pains, allergies, and I popped a pill for all those things, honestly. And I thought I was very healthy, and I was physically fit. I was doing okay. I mean, I wasn't going to the doctor. I didn't really get sick all that often, but these were like a little annoyances, which, by the way, is our body communicating to us. It's never wrong, it's always right. An allergy, like you eat something and you sneeze or you have indigestion or bloating. Let's look into why that happened from that food. And it actually may not be that meal you had that day, but the meal you had a day or two ago that maybe hasn't eliminated from the body yet because your peristalsis is slowed down. You're not eliminating like you should every day. So that's a deeper subject, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that nutrition on Friday. But sleep was probably the one principle that I honored the least. And I was the person that said, I only need 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. That's all I need. I'm young. I have lots to do. And my day was long. I had to get up at 4:30, started my day at 6, and many days ended at 9, and I was doing that 6 days a week. That changed for me after my mom died in 2010, and in 2011 is when right about that time, is when I was advancing my education in holistic lifestyle coaching and started working on my sleep. And boy, oh boy, has that made a difference in my vitality. It was, for me, probably the biggest ingredient to my vitality, to reclaiming my vitality. Because I thought positively, I ate fairly well. I mean, I was eating processed food and trying to watch my calories, but I still, I had a balanced diet. I moved, of course. I hydrated, probably not the best water back then. And through my movement, I was breathing, probably still had some faulty breathing patterns, because as I've improved on that, I notice hiking in altitude, I'm so much more adapt to the environment by being able to take in a nice deep, actually having functional breath versus, more chest breathing. When you stay up here and you're trying to climb a mountain, you got a backpack on your back, that's really difficult to actually, if you're not breathing right, it's really hard to stay the course without feeling super tired. So excellent sleep can actually be the regulator for all the other principles. So all the principles we're representing here on my rock balance, as well as the bio battery. So short-term lack of sleep could mean you wake up one day and short-term meaning your sleep's pretty dialed in, but like for me last night, okay, I met up with my 98-year-old friend who, whenever I have that opportunity, I take it, and we had dinner. None of it was on my health list. I had some alcohol. I got home late, and I was not asleep until about 11:45, which anybody who knows me out there knows that's not my normal routine. What happened though for me there was a lot of happy making and being out with this friend and other people we were with, and I didn't get a horrible sleep score from last night, but I'm not also feeling 100% today, not like I would if I didn't do that. But the addition of the happy making and socializing and all of that was kind of how it kept my rocks balanced, if that makes sense. We need to do that too. We can't just honor these principles in isolation and not expect to live. That isn't what I'm suggesting. So a short-term thing. So for me today, I'm going to pay special attention to drinking enough water to, I'm probably going to move very gentle today. Make sure my food choices are good. I'm not going to, fall prey to any kind of, but those are the short-term things. You could eat the wrong food because you're tired, your mental cognition, all those things, nothing is functioning right because you didn't sleep well, but that carries us into the long-term effects as well. But long-term effects are more about hormone dysregulation, and the biggest message I want to give you today about sleep is the beautiful dance between the two hormones, cortisol and melatonin, and what that means in our body. So it's very similar to being in fight or flight versus not being in fight or flight, which is our sympathetic nervous system versus our parasympathetic nervous system. Cortisol is on the sympathetic nervous system side. Melatonin is on the parasympathetic nervous side. It's on the yin side. Cortisol is on the yang side, the masculine side. When we're looking at a rock balance, our breathing, thinking, and moving are the yang principles. That's where cortisol sits. It's catabolic. It's tissue destroying versus nutrition, hydration, and sleep. Talking about sleep today. On the yin side, that's the feminine side. That's where our melatonin is. Anabolic, that's tissue restoring. And that's what happens during sleep. If we get the proper amount of, say, deep sleep or REM sleep, basically even total sleep where you're not actually awake and having disruption in your sleep. So there's this beautiful dance between cortisol and melatonin. The first thing you need to know is that when cortisol is high, melatonin is low. There's absolutely no way they can be up here together. It's literally a teeter-totter. And we need to have cortisol high. Right now, this time of day, it's dropping. And by about 6 o'clock tonight, it's going to be at its lowest level, ideally, if you're there. And melatonin begins to rise. And by, say, 10 o'clock, from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., melatonin is at its highest, ideally, if you're there. There's ways you need to prepare for that. I just, a few weeks ago, had a 5-day sleep challenge, summer sleep challenge. Some of you may have tuned into that. It was over on Facebook. It was a Facebook, no, actually it was both places. I've shown it on both places, but it was a invite-only Zoom call that I shared in the private Facebook. Not like you need to know that. So I went into depth with all of this. And as a matter of fact, in my bio, you can grab all the sleep challenge resources. It's in my link tree. Go to it, click down, click on it. You can get a morning routine, an evening routine, and a sleep prep checklist. And that talks about everything we talked about. And then if you're there, it also gives you an invite to my private Facebook page where you'd be able to see the videos that I did every day for the sleep challenge. It goes much, much deeper into this, but I think the most important thing is that you need to know when we talk about not getting having negative thoughts, not drinking enough water, not drinking the right quality water, and having faulty breathing patterns, all of those things keep our cortisol elevated. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Now, it's not a bad thing. We need to have it elevated at certain times for sure. But what's critically happening to people these days is that their cortisol stays elevated throughout the day. And when it turns into affecting your sleep, then what happens during the day, where the cycle continues over and over and over and over again, is that you're having maybe caffeine later in the day to stay stimulated. Maybe it's not that, but that you have a work life that keeps you at a computer and lights overhead and that kind of stuff, even shift work. That kind of stuff is effective. I addressed someone's issue of a later evening workout, and this person happened to be an older person who is super dialed in with her movement, but she's working out. One of her workout routines is 3 times a week she does something in the evening, and she's eating a late dinner at 10 o'clock and can't get to sleep, and she's thinking, she can't make a change. And I said, it's absolutely possible. You just have to find another time for that workout and start honoring the natural circadian rhythm. And that, again, is what I go deep into. But just so we know, our cortisol, it's a good thing. It regulates our stress responses, our metabolism, our blood pressure, our blood sugar. But when it stays elevated too high, where it doesn't benefit the blood sugar, is that it dysregulates insulin release and the insulin sensitivity on the cells, and that creates insulin resistance. Melatonin, on the flip side, and why we want that elevated during the time when we're repairing the body during sleep, it's a powerful antioxidant, and it's literally required for sleep. Including that if you maybe even get pretty dialed in, but then you flip on all the lights, light in the eyes, light on the skin. Cortisol is also a very fast-acting hormone, and it'll turn on very quickly. Now, if you're not too far down the path, or your sleep is otherwise dialed in, you probably can recover from that rather quickly. But when you're in a perpetual state of lack of sleep, it takes some work to get that dial back in. Does not require a pill. You can absolutely do it. Go to my bio and get those sleep resources, and you'll see what you can do to help. So also another thing to know is that we naturally produce both of these things, but that where they get dysregulated is literally virtually by our lifestyle. And as I began with at the beginning, everything I'm teaching, my core-based program, is all about getting back to basics. It's not anything that we can't, that either our body doesn't innately have the ability to do to heal, or that it doesn't innately or naturally produce, like our cortisol and melatonin. Getting out in the sunshine, first light in the eyes, those are things that flip on the cortisol switch naturally, and then sunshine on the skin, not to the point of burning, actually helps with your vitamin D production, which helps produce our melatonin. So all of these things are very, very natural, and very the ability for you to overcome poor sleep doesn't have to be in a pill. And send me a message if you need more information, or go to that link and you'll see the Sleep Challenge resources, and use those and get back on track. Also, in my link tree is the Roadmap to Vitality checklist that we're using here for this. Just a quick little checklist of all the 6 foundation health principles, my 6 ways to wellness. Anyhow, here's what you could do right now to help with your sleep tonight. As soon as the sun goes down, we're in summer, so it's going to be, depending on where you are, here for me it's 8:30, might be 10 o'clock if you're in the northern states. Make sure your overhead lights are off. Get everything done you need to get done. If you need light, use a table lamp or other, it's kind of hot, not candlelight, but I have battery operated candles that go on. It's enough illumination for me. And read a book instead of watching TV, and see how quickly you'll be ready for sleep. The next level up is orange blue blocker glasses. I had a client who wore those when I recommended her to wear those, and they were just the cheapies from Amazon. She said I couldn't stay awake, where she was always kind of stimulated and would go to bed, and she was a person who had like I'm in bed by 9 and up at 4:30 kind of a thing ritual, but she was, and thought she was sleeping through the night, but was tired every day. She started wearing those glasses, and it put her into deep sleep much quicker. So thanks for tuning in today. I think I've been going over my 15 minutes. I so apologize. Thank you for joining me on your lunch hour, and hello to those who did join. And let's see, I have Marilyn, Patricia, Paula, and Vilone. So thank you for joining me. Early on I did see Will Hare, but he didn't stay. He should have stayed, because I know Will. Okay, have a great day. We're going to see you tomorrow. I think I might be actually out on a trail. It's hot, but I'm going to be out and about on client calls, and I was thinking about doing a hike. And even though it's warm, I may still be out there on a trail, so I'll be moving during our lunchtime Road to Vitality lesson. And we'll be talking about movement. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.